Much reaction, kind of leaned into it, looking at the jury as the verdict was announced. Let's talk about it with Deputy Public Defender Philip Dubé. He's in Los Angeles and in Atlanta, attorney and former president of the National Bar Association, C.K. Hoffler. Hello to both of you. Philip, this case wasn't, this was all about harmony, but not. And this jury had nothing to do with harmony, but for our viewers, that's why we were interested in it. And we were looking for little hints of what would come and how much evidence maybe the state had against him in the Harmony case, and we didn't hear much. Bottom line is, though, for the state of New Hampshire, they've got a little bit of pressure relieved with this guilty verdict, and they also now know how the circle of friends will perform on the witness stand.
Yeah, but not to sound like the commie pinko bleeding heart liberal public defender, he has not been convicted of murder. They got him on the gun charges. And I got to tell you, on a personal level, I've been doing criminal law now for over 25 years. I find their sentencing law for felon with a firearm to be quite draconian. In California, if you are a felon and you pick up a gun charge, your max in custody is only 3 years. I have never in my career ever heard of a law where felons can be locked up for 40 years for packing a gun. I understand that people need to cool their heels if you're a violent felon and you should not have weapons, but 40 years? My goodness, I think a message can be sent to any felon that if you carry a gun on or off parole as a convicted felon, you're going to do time. But should somebody's entire future be obliterated? I don't know. It's a philosophical debate. I want to add one other comment, Ted, and that is it's my understanding that Massachusetts officials have done a search in the hometown where Adam Montgomery was from, in the belief that perhaps maybe the remains of Harmony may be found on that property. And if that's the case, I'm not even sure that New Hampshire would even have jurisdiction over the homicide. If that crime was not committed in whole or in part in New Hampshire, I think New Hampshire may have to relinquish jurisdiction to Massachusetts, and we'll see if Massachusetts pursues it. That's assuming they find her remains in that Commonwealth.
Correct, and that's the big one. At this point, they have not found little Harmony's remains, and at this point, he is facing the murder charges in New Hampshire, set to go on trial in November. CK, your reaction to the verdict here on the weapons case?
I think the jury got it right. And I do think, however, that even though there was very little, if any, mention of Harmony, I think her name came up maybe when his estranged wife or ex-wife was testifying. It came in at some point. It's in the minds of the jurors. The jurors certainly would know, even though they're probably instructed not to consider any of that evidence, and that evidence would not be relevant, and I think it could be grounds for mistrial. But I do think that it would be in the minds of those jurors, and so I think the jurors got it right. But I am wondering whether in the back of their minds, they're thinking of really, by this verdict, sending a message that they feel he has culpability and guilt as it relates to that child.